Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about a category of cameras that I find quite interesting. This is a Fujifilm X70. But this is not the camera we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the category or another camera that belongs in the same category as this one, which is small, truly pocketable cameras with a large sensor. And I know we hear pocketable a lot, but most of the time that means jacket pocketable or like fitting in a big hoodie. This, my friends, is genuinely pocketable. It fits in a jeans pocket. However, as I said, this is not today's camera. The one we're talking about is a legend in its own right. The Nikon Coolpix A. I don't have the Coolpix A anymore. Eventually I went with the Fuji. But here's the thing. While the Coolpix A often sits around $400 the Fujifilm is more like 800, so roughly twice the price. The Ricoh GR series also leans towards the higher end. There's also a Fujifilm XF10, which honestly is quite slow. So let's focus on the Coolpix A. It's a really cool camera, and it took me a long time to find one. You can find them in places like eBay, but you'll usually pay a premium price then, but you get them immediately. I managed to get mine though for about $400, and I think that's where the value really lands for this camera. That brings us to what matters the most, the files. It's a 16 megapixel file where the color out of this camera has a very distinct feel. It's not trying to be cinematic or filmic, it just ends up feeling real, vivid and pleasing. It has that clarity that I associate with Nikon. The file feels honest, not flat, with just enough contrast and just enough saturation. Green, reds, skin tones, they land in a place that feels right the moment you open the RAW. And when you tweak them, they respond beautifully without hassle. It doesn't have the baked-in variety of Fujifilm's film simulations, and that's not a bad thing. The Coolpix A gives you that old-school Nikon look instead. The colors has a weight. Blue skies looks like blue skies. Concrete has texture. Nothing feels overly digital or plasticky. It's a color science that is simply good. And if the color is good, the black and white is even better. There's something about the tonal gradation here that just nails it. Deep blacks, rich highlights, and most importantly, a beautiful sense of mid-tone roll-off. The grayscale has a subtlety. It's smooth, but with a bite. It honestly reminds me of old-school street photography. Almost, if I dare to say it, the classic feeling you get from films like Kodak 3X. Not an exact film mimic, but it taps into the same vibe. Raw, slightly gritty, full of texture and character. The Nikon crispiness really pays off in monochrome. The clarity gives structure to the black and white. It's not just these saturated colors. It feels like it was meant to be monochrome. Lines define better, light shapes the scene, and you can almost feel the concrete or the atmosphere. I used to shoot the Leica X2, and I thought that camera has had nice black and white. But side by side, I kept coming back to the Nikon files. They had more depth, more mood. The Coolpix A is an older camera. It is a little bit limited in customizations and functionality, but honestly, everything you need is there. If you used Nikon DSLRs back in the day, the back layout feels familiar. Some would call it two-handed layout, with buttons on both sides, so not truly one-handed. In practice, you can shoot one-handed just fine if you're mostly pressing the shutter, which we all are doing. But if you want to change all the settings with just one hand, then no, it's not one-handed. Same with exposure compensation, with auto ISO. Kudos for the camera for actually having auto ISO. But to change the EV comp, you either press the left side button and use both hands, Or you can reprogram the EV come to the front button and use your little finger with the front dial to ride the exposure compensation. It works, but it is a bit slower, especially compared to the Fujifilm where you just turn the top dial. It's more old school DSLR style way of working. Press this, turn that, which made sense when it was launched because it clearly flirted with DSLR users. The issue back then was the price. It was expensive, so not many people bought it. That's why it's hard to find today. I searched well over a year before I found mine, and since then I only seen one other in the wild. When I first got it, I also had a Leica X2, and I put the Nikon and the Leica side by side to compare. I think the Nikon is the better one. Color and black and white both resonated more with me. Maybe if I lived longer with the Leica, I would change my mind. But my first impression was that the Coolpix A just clicked with me. It's a cool camera, and I definitely recommend picking one up. Great colors, really solid output. Like many other cameras in this category, it comes with the 18mm f2.8 lens. Not the brightest, but good enough. And the high ISO performance is fine. And there's a built-in flash. And because the camera has a leaf shutter, you could sync the flash at any shutter speed, even in bright daylight, which is pretty cool, especially now when the flash look is coming back. You can set it up for a zone focus and you're good to go. There's a top dial, which has 2 custom modes, where you could save your own settings. I had one for zone focus in color and one for zone focus in black and white. For general shooting, I have focus and recompose, and sometimes I use face detection, which is okay for non-moving subjects. If something happening really fast, I flip to zone focus and grab the moment. There is a physical AF manual focus switch on the side, but because of that, the custom modes can't force manual focus the way you would want for zone focus. The workaround is to use a pre-focus method, focus to about 2 meters in the ground by hard pressing, locking, and then shoot when the moment comes. Often when I bring a larger camera, the Coolpix A comes along. It's never a burden to bring along. It's a great everyday carry, but also perfect as a second camera in your bag or literally in your pocket. If your main camera has a tighter lens, you always got a wide angle ready. It's like a 2-camera setup without the hassle of actually carrying 2 big cameras, and that's pretty great. And another interesting angle related to the size is the stealth factor. People often don't notice you with this camera, or they just don't care as much. That means you can get pretty close to your subjects, which is perfect given that 18mm lens. It really makes a great street photography tool. I guess that's it for the Nikon Coolpix. If you used one, or you got another pocketable large sensor favorite, tell me in the comments below. Got question I didn't cover? Ask away and I'll jump in. Thanks for watching and happy shooting.